All right. Hello, and welcome back to Health Without the System. I'm Dr. Tim Scott. I have a special episode today. You will notice that my better half, my more beautiful half, Mia, is not sitting with me, but I did have an awesome opportunity to have a lifelong friend of mine by the name of Tony on the show today. I'm going to introduce him more in just a moment. Tony's story is that he's lost over 100 pounds of weight since coming to Rixa Health back in May of 2024. We're going to have him talk about his experience a little bit. But more importantly, I sort of just want to highlight the friendship that we've had, the fact that he trusted me with this journey, and that he's willing to trust our audience with this as well. I think that is really cool. I think it shows sort of the connections that you can make as you make some of these lifestyle changes. And without further ado, this is my friend Tony. Welcome, Tony.
Yep. Thank you, Tim. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, so we ran into each other at Restore Hyper Wellness it was actually the end of April in 2024 because you started with me in May.
Yep.
Tell me about the person that was sitting in the chair in Restore on that day.
That day when I walked into Restore, I was hungover. I was 295 pounds, and I was struggling. Didn't know it, kind of just thought that's the way it was. But it was a godsend seeing you that day, and I feel like God put you there to see me in that shape that day. Blood pressure through the roof, you witnessed it.
Yeah. And I hate to say this, it's not a judgment, it's more of an observation thing. I see people when they come to us a lot. First off, I'm an emergency medicine physician, so I see people at their worst in the emergency department all the time. But with metabolic health, when people come and maybe they've exhausted all options, or in your case, I'm not sure that you had really just tried a whole lot prior to that to change your life. Not that you had exhausted all options, but I see people at what they feel may be their worst. And when I left there that day, I said to myself, I don't think Tony looks that great. Yep. And we had set up that we were going to have a call in about a week. And when you joined that call in a week, you were at 290 pounds. You had a goal weight of 185 pounds. When we had that call, you were about 47, probably actually that day, you were 50% body fat. And that's a staggering statistic. And I don't want to take away from your thunder. So let's first tell the audience what you are now, and then we'll talk a bit about your journey.
So as of Friday of last week, I was 182 pounds.
Wow, that's amazing. And I will remind you that your body fat is 17%.
Correct.
From your most recent scan, in case you forget. So you went from approximately 50% body fat down to 17% body fat and lost over 115 pounds. That's amazing. Great work. And what I really hope is that some of the people that are listening to this can identify with this journey. And please, if you're listening to this and you're not necessarily looking to lose weight, also consider the metabolic health changes that we're going to discuss today, the diet changes that we're going to discuss today. As Mia always discusses, when you're living the standard American life and you're eating the standard American diet, you're going to develop the standard American diseases, from hypertension, type 2 diabetes, metabolic syndrome, lipid disorders, you name it. That's going to lead to strokes, heart attacks, autoimmune conditions. So all of that can change. And Tony actually has a couple other things that he can talk about, not just his weight loss, that I'll let him discuss when we get there. But there's something in this for everybody. Listen in. We're going to hit the journey. So when you started this May 1st, 2024-ish, did you think you were going to hit that goal weight?
I did not, actually. It was a shot in the dark. I didn't know what to expect. I had heard about it, but really it was trusting you. I was just kind of going for something. I was grabbing air, and it ended up working.
What did you think? So we got off that call, and on the initial call, we spent about an hour. We go over diet, lifestyle, and I always stress to people, listen, this might sound like a lot, but let's break it down to the basics. Clean foods, whole foods. Let's move away from processed foods. Let's reduce alcohol consumption. Maybe start some exercise. We try to keep people from getting overwhelmed on day one. When you hung up from that first call, what did you think? What was your thoughts?
I took everything you said. I looked in the mirror and I said, I got to do this. I owe this to myself. I'm injecting myself with a medication that's going to make me lose weight, and I need to hit it as hard as I can. I've had to tell myself that every day since I started, but it's worked. The proof's there. You start moving, you start losing a little weight, and you get some motivation, and it just kind of falls into place.
Yeah. What were some of the first changes that you made on day one?
So day one, I drank a lot, and about a week went by, and Amy looked at me and said, "Hey, you haven't had a drink in like a week." And I said, "Yeah, I really haven't thought about it." So really with no effort, I quit drinking. And I think that was the shot. I don't know if it takes the craving away or if it takes the appeal. I don't know. That's one of the big three things it did for me was alcohol. I kicked a drinking habit. I wasn't drinking all day, every day, but I was drinking every day
Yeah.
for a long time or close. That itself's been life-changing.
Yeah, and here I'm going to grab you a towel. I know it's very hot
Sorry,
in our studio, just so you guys know.
Getting a little muggy.
Yeah, so alcohol is common, right? As a society, we've normalized daily drinking. And listen, this is not judgmental. This is purely metabolic. If you enjoy alcohol, that's certainly your business. There are definitely metabolic detriments to it. There's definitely liver disruption, weight gain, sort of changes the way your body's processing and metabolizing fuel. One of the best things you can do for inflammation, liver support, and of course during weight loss is alcohol cessation. And people do talk about that, and there's actually some trials going on with GLP-1 medications when it comes to different addictive behaviors, not just alcohol, but narcotics, marijuana, sexual and gambling addiction. So it's kind of neat when people do experience some of that, and reducing that desire to partake in those activities is cool. It's an added benefit. And again, I'm not trying to talk the whole time. I'm sorry. But we talk about it, a tool being in the bag, right? You still have to choose to not drink. You still have to
100%.
choose to change your diet, but it does make it easier.
And I think I'll deal with alcohol forever as a crutch. It's something I think about every day still, but I just don't have that desire to go do it. I think about it. There are times that I'll still overdrink a little bit, but man, it's like 90% down. And it's the thoughts there, but it's like I'm able to make the decision just to not drink.
Especially as you've made so many positive changes to your body, sometimes you feel like you don't want to sabotage that behavior.
And that's it. I'm drinking a beer, and for whatever reason in my head, I'm like, man, this is 100 calories that I just don't need. And then I go to get another beer, and I'm like, dude, now you're going to do 200? Like, what's the point?
This is going to suck at the gym later.
And like I said, that I started taking the shot, had no mental conscious of trying to stop drinking. And I probably went that first week without a drink. Then I had a beer, couple beers. I've had times now I've went like 3 weeks without drinking.
Yeah.
Literally, Tim, I was drinking, go to lunch, have a couple beers, come home, couple beers at night, a couple vodkas.
Yeah.
And that was just a repetitive cycle that honestly at the time I was blinded. I had no idea that I was doing it to that extent.
Well, we talk about as people progress through life, things will happen. And let's say this is your condition, right? And you're going along and maybe something happens that causes you to get sick, or you have a back injury, a knee injury, right? Your condition goes down a little and your ability to perform goes down and your ability to live more healthy goes down. And that becomes new normal. And life is sort of a series of these new normals that take your condition down more and more.
Yep.
And it's not until you do something drastic or life-changing like what you've done that significantly escalated it, where you can now notice a very clear difference between what's normal now and what was normal to you a year ago.
My head has definitely come out of the clouds. And I'll say after about 50 pounds, kind of looked in the mirror one day and I'm like, man, you're doing it. This is working. You're in control. Did I think I was going to lose 110 pounds or wherever I'm at? No, but
Right.
I'm like, man, this is working. And really at that point, I started really researching a lot and getting into the more of the physical. The first like 40, 50 pounds was, I think, a lot of diet. And honestly, at that point, I physically really couldn't do a lot. I had back problems. I was going to a chiropractor, my skin issues. And it was at the point when I started lifting, like I'd lay down and bench like 100 pounds. I couldn't sit up off the bench. I'd have to roll off the bench onto the floor because my back was in such bad shape, and I have zero back pain now. The alcoholism, the medical issues that have went away, and then my goal of taking the shot was weight loss, which has been there the whole time. The alcohol and the medical issues just fell with it.
And a lot of people that come to me, I say, yeah, listen, I hear that you're here for weight loss, but I'm going to talk to you about metabolic health, and weight loss is going to be a side effect. It's going to come with it. And you touched on some of the important things when you mentioned there's still some desire to drink. You still do at times, 90% better, right? Like that's life. I don't expect certain patients that are never going to have a chocolate cupcake again, never going to have a beer again at the 4th of July, but you definitely learn how to do things more in moderation. And part of that credit goes to your microbiome. So we talk about this a lot, but your gut bacteria makes up about 90% of who you are. Your cravings, your hormones, your desires, your gut bacteria speak for you. And after about 90 days, you really start to notice a change in that. What you feed your gut is what grows in your gut. And as you started to feed your gut better foods, less alcohol, the bacteria that fed on that start to die off. and the change happens. And I talk about this every time. I don't care. I'll say it again. I crave an apple with peanut butter, cinnamon, and raisins 100 times more than I crave a Snickers bar any day of the week. Let me ask you a couple other changes. We talked about the importance of protein, skeletal muscle. You touched on hitting the gym after about 50 pounds. I'm so glad you did, because we have a whole podcast on skeletal muscle, how important it is for glucose regulation and fat loss. When we sat down on the first call, I tell you the same thing I tell all my clients. I want you to start trying to get 100 grams of protein a day. I'm sure you weren't. So how did you look at that? How'd you start doing it? How'd you incorporate that into your life?
The protein, really, in order to hit 100 grams of protein a day, I had to change my whole eating habit. I had to basically focus on high protein foods, protein shakes, and really when you get into it, the eating hasn't really been that hard for me. I haven't calorie counted. I haven't carb counted. I've just stayed in that lane of protein, veggies, and fruit. And real quick, back to the metabolic health, literally, I could feel that happening. I could feel my body going from bad bacteria to good bacteria. Like, that change is real. Maybe it's just me. I don't have like a huge study, but I lived it. It's funny because even today with the bacteria, I can tell when I'm like dialed in. My eating's dialed in. I can feel my gut just it's healthy. And I could feel that transfer to my whole body. But a lot of it's the eating. So what I started doing is every meal I'd have 8 to 10 ounces of meat, fish. I'd have a protein shake in the morning. That was 30 grams. Lunch, I'd have 8 to 10 ounces meat, fish. Dinner, 8 to 10 ounces meat or fish with a bunch of vegetables and fruit. And then I'd have another protein shake at night. Right now, I'm probably 150 to 200 grams a day.
That's awesome.
And it's everything I can do to eat that. So if you can get your body into that rhythm of high protein, you're almost giving yourself a endless eating pass, because you really can't eat more. It's like I struggle to do that. I'm making myself eat to hit those numbers at this point.
I think it's so important here. Let me just mention first off that Tony, this is entirely his story. I'm not feeding him any information. And second, he's not medical. His background is not medical.
Yeah, I'm not
he's
a doctor at all.
Not in the health industry at all. So everything he's saying are truly his shared experiences, just him. One of the things we talk about is whole foods. Just eat fresh, whole, non-processed foods, meat, vegetables, dairy, fruit, etc. If you can do dairy, there's certain kinds. If you can't, no problem. We'll help you work around it. But that is the key. People get so surprised. They get off our first call and they say, well, wait a minute, you didn't talk about how many calories I'm allowed to have per day. And I said, because if you're doing what we're saying, if you're eating this stuff, if you focus on 100 plus grams of protein, you're not going to be hungry to eat anything else. Nope. And I challenge you to get 3,000 calories a day from vegetables, fruit, and meat.
Even if you were able to do that, let's say you hit 4,000 on Monday, you're not doing that on Tuesday.
Right, exactly.
Because it stays with you. When I first went on this diet, I was kind of promoting it as like a carnivore diet. And as I did my research, I'm like, well, wait a minute, you're eating a lot of vegetables. I didn't realize there was carbs in vegetables. I'm like, well, maybe I am eating carbs. I'm telling everybody I'm on this no carb diet. And then I'm really looking at it. And I'm like, well, no, you've really just got rid of the processed foods, which you would preach since the beginning. I'd like to say it's a lower carb diet, but it's not a no carb diet. It's just getting rid of the crap. And it amazes me when you really look at it. Now I look at it differently, how much they try to promote the crap as being healthy and beneficial for you. I don't know if I'm allowed to say, like a company like Pepsi. Okay, you're selling a soda, you're selling a regular Pepsi with 60 grams of sugar in it. All that's doing is killing people slowly.
Yeah, 14 teaspoons of sugar.
And it just amazes me that's okay. Like, people are okay with that.
Yeah.
If I sold something that killed people slowly, I'd be in prison.
It's interesting how some of these representatives for the soda companies were showing up and talking about how they didn't want this taken away from the food stamp programs and stuff in different states. And you're less like, how can you even possibly argue?
What benefit do you get out of drinking a Pepsi or a regular soda, let's say? That's another thing I wanted to touch on today is I feel like to really get good at the diet, you got to do a little bit of a deep dive into the food that you're eating. And you told me that at the beginning. You're like, man, just do some research and you'll realize that the stuff that you're eating is not good for you. You might not feel it necessarily today, but in 10 years, you keep eating it, it's going to take you down and your health's going to suffer. Man, when you really open that box of worms, it's there. And it's scary how, even like our kids, they promote a lot of things that all it's doing is setting them up to be obese later in life.
Well, and the statistics in the U.S. clearly show that. I mean, obesity under the age of 20 is the highest it's ever been, and the chronic diseases as well.
And nothing was done wrong, but I wish I would have known now when I was 14 years old. So I
Right.
could have started then.
Right.
The food's real.
Yeah.
Really, if you're doing the shot, just start really paying attention to what you're eating. The thing I've noticed with the shot is I feel like I feel a lot better when I'm eating very healthy.
Right.
If I go drink a Coke right now or something that's high sugar, it really makes me feel
You
like
feel
crap.
crappy, yeah.
I'm assuming, I don't know, because I'm taking something that's trying to drive my sugar down. I'm drinking something that's spiking it up. They just don't go together.
Yeah.
But man, if you eat clean and drink a lot of water, you forget about all the garbage food.
Right. You mentioned your journey's been with a GLP-1 and a lot of my clients have, but I have people who come to me who don't want a GLP-1, and that's totally fine too. Whether you're trying to treat weight loss, metabolic health, chronic diseases, it all starts in the diet, and everything you're saying is relevant to that. For your kids, for your future. You mentioned a few different things, but the fresh whole foods, I think, is probably most important starting there. And also, I encourage everybody from day one, I hope the information I give you spurs your own research. And I'm really glad you took that into your own hands because I can't teach you everything. We talk once a month, but what you come to the table with at every new conversation is very cool from my aspect. And
well, honestly, what I needed, Tim, was I needed somebody that I trusted to look at me and tell me, hey, dude, you don't look good. You didn't do it in a mean way, but you nicely just said, hey, man, I haven't seen you in a while and you're not looking the best, but I can help you. You didn't just tell me, oh, man, you look like crap, you need to eat better. You gave me a solution to climb out of the hole I was in, which I'm forever grateful for.
You had the power. We gave you the knowledge.
You gave me a spark and you gave me knowledge, but what was nice was you were motivating because you told me I wasn't looking good, but at the same time you had a solution that really changes people's lives.
Yeah.
You know,
I appreciate that.
Yeah. You guys are doing great things. You guys are touching a lot of lives.
The decisions you make in your 20s, 30s, and 40s affect you so much in your 50s, 60s, and 70s. And I see that in my line of work. So when I see a buddy of mine in his 30s and I say, hey, man, I know you probably feel okay right now, but I know how you're going to feel in 10 years or 20 years if you don't make a change.
And that's exactly what you told me.
Yeah. So tell me how this went over in your household when you said, hey, I'm going to do this. I know you're married. Talk about your journey there a little bit.
My wife had been on me for years because she eats a lot better than me, a lot healthier than me. She's an angel. I'm a little bit of a rebel. She would point that out from time to time. So I was with her when we talked initially. And I think she was kind of at the same point I was, or same spot. She just wanted me to be healthy. So we got in the car that day and I said, hey, Tim's going to call me. What do you think? And she goes, I think it's great. I think if this helps you. So then I started taking it and instantly had results. I've reacted very well to the medication, and I've also reacted very well to the diet change. So then she wanted to get on it. She got on it, and actually we've done this together. I mean, so I'm down 110 pounds. She's down 45 pounds, and we've never seen each other this skinny. It's crazy. I like when we hug each other. Yeah. Like there's like nothing there. We got like little hugs now.
I love that. That's the first time I've ever heard that. That's awesome.
Really, the whole time it's been good. Our marriage is better than it's ever been. My relationship with my daughter, better than it's ever been.
It's amazing when you have that support. We talk so much that modern health, when people are approaching it from what we believe to be the correct perspective, involves questions like that. Your spiritual journey, your emotional journey, your relationships. What are you doing for self-care? Are you getting out in the sun, sauna to detox, grounding, talking with your wife? Do you have support in this? All of that matters. And listen, if you don't have a significant other or maybe someone who is not necessarily on board with this, we get a lot of people who say, oh, the husband tells the wife or the wife tells the husband that medication-assisted weight loss is stupid or may not support the dietary changes. That's okay. Find a way to communicate with your partner. Find a way to do what's right for you. Ask us for help and we'll help you work through that. So I'm glad you've had that support. I'm glad that you're able to touch on how much that's helped you because I think that's important as well.
Yeah.
Tell me about when you hit some challenges along. So you've been doing this for a year.
Yep.
Are there a couple any obstacles that you've hit? How did you handle plateaus?
I have hit plateaus. I started with tirzepatide at 290 pounds. I lost maybe 40, 50 pounds with that by itself. Then I started CJC 1295 epimorelin with it. And I hit a plateau about 50 down, so I was at 240. That's when I started lifting weights. That was, hey, this is going to promote growth hormone a little bit. That really got me curious into lifting weights. I used that till I got down to about 210, and I got stuck at 210 for a while. Then I incorporated BPC 157. BPC 157, again, I am not a doctor. I absolutely love. I've had great success. I was stuck at 210 for like a month. I started taking BPC 157, and that's where my diet really just went to the next level of getting rid of processed foods. For whatever reason, that BPC 157, it's like it just turned off any craving for bad food. I dropped from 210 to 190 pounds in about a month.
Wow.
That was my last 20 pounds that I lost, right? So
Yeah,
it's the
hardest, right.
hardest 20. But I felt like I was putting the work in physically to do that. I just couldn't break 210.
Yeah.
And man, I almost think that really fine-tuned my diet to the point where I was able to keep going.
Yeah.
I think if you hit plateaus, you got to look at what you're eating. You think you're eating good, but you're doing little things that are messing you up. You're not 100% there yet.
And you never are. It's always a journey.
It is. 99% of the physical activity I've done with this is weightlifting.
Yeah.
I've probably ran 50 miles total. I really just started running maybe a month and a half ago.
Okay.
But I have a hard time staying with that. So the weightlifting as an exercise, I always thought you had to run to lose weight. No, you just lift.
Yeah.
You just move. You got to move.
So let me touch on a couple of things you just said. Tony mentioned a couple different peptides that he has used, and peptides are these protein sequences. They can turn genes on or off. They can affect different areas of your body, release different enzymes. And he talked about one specifically that can sort of promote the production and release of growth hormone, which decreases as we age. And then he talked about the BPC, which is known as the healing peptide. It can have anti-inflammatory effects all over the body. As he talked about, there is this connection between the brain-gut axis with BPC 157, and it can sort of affect food. That's not like the most clear. I can't just sit here and explain to you exactly how that works because I don't 100% know, but we know that it works and it does affect your gut. And then beyond that, he mentioned another huge point that we've touched on very recently, that we are shifting away from cardio in our lifestyle overall. Is it bad? No. Are we telling people don't go for a walk, don't go for a run? No. What we are encouraging is try to incorporate more muscle resistance than you previously had, especially in weight loss mode. Really try to preserve and build up that skeletal muscle. It's going to take you light years farther than cardio. And as you get into your later generations, 60s, 70s, and 80s, when walking or running becomes quite a bit harder, if not impossible for some people, you still can do resistance bands. You still can do light dumbbells and put that resistance on your muscles. So do not discount weightlifting ever. I really appreciate you bringing that up.
It's huge. It changed my life. Where it's turned into me with the weightlifting is I started with air squats. So it wasn't even weightlifting, it was body weight stuff. I started doing 20 air squats a day and 20 push-ups a day. Then I rolled it into, okay, I'm going to start getting up at 5 in the morning and I'm going to do that same little workout. Then it was like, okay, I'm going to get up at 5 in the morning and I'm going to go down to my gym in the basement. I'm going to start lifting weights. Now I'm at a point where I get up at 5 in the morning. I go down to my gym every day, unless I'm not able to schedule-wise, but it's pretty much every day. And I hit it hard for an hour, just lifting weights. And that hour to me now is so therapeutic. I'm at a point where I used to, when I'd wake up and try to do that, there was a lot of battles in the morning. You almost had to learn how to accept that it's going to suck going and doing it and liking it. But it's weird. I'm past that. Now I'm up. I have a cup of coffee, my pre-workout. And I'm like, it's time to go down to my gym. And I get down there and I listen to music. It starts my day. And if I don't do it, it kind of ruins my day or I don't feel as good. But what I'm excited for is I've done a year of where I kind of really had to make myself work out. I feel like in the last month or so, it just became a part of life. And I'm excited for the next year to see how that affects me mentally. Because I feel like I'm at a point now in the morning with that hour workout that it's therapeutic for me mentally.
Yeah.
I'm just ready for the day. I'm thinking clearer.
That's your self-care.
It's self-care.
Yeah.
It's funny because I've been kind of waiting for that part. The weight loss happened quick. Obviously feel a lot better with the weight loss. I thought I would feel better mentally. It's hard to explain that, but I feel like with my current workout schedule and how I've structured everything, and I'm very repetitive day to day, that mentally I'm coming around. Don't give up.
It in.
It gets better mentally over time.
Yeah.
You're definitely, to get to this point, you're going to have some mental battles, some emotional battles, but it falls into place. The answer isn't to stop moving. Get up and move. Whether it's you're just getting up to do some biceps, because that's all you had time for, or you're able to get an hour workout in, or you're able to do 20 push-ups. Just start somewhere and start doing it. And
so important.
You get hooked on it.
Challenging your body too.
Yeah. Now I look in the mirror every morning and I'm like, man, let's let's get this day going. It's 5 a.m. Everybody's asleep. And I'm up and I'm like, let's do it.
I love it. That silent cup of coffee. Yeah.
And she hates it. My wife hates it because I play my music down there, her and my daughter.
Oh, that's so cool. Okay, I have a couple more questions. We're running short on time, but I do want to ask you, what are some changes that you noticed other than just your weight? Skin, hormones, energy, back, joints, that kind of stuff.
Okay, so big one, and what I really wanted to touch on today is I had a skin condition, or have a skin condition called HS.
Hidradenitis suppurativa.
Yep, that's it.
I'm saying it right.
It's very debilitating. It starts in stages, stage 1 through 3. So I started at stage 1 when I was a teenager. I'd get cysts in my hair, under my arms, but just very mild, maybe 1 a year, 2 a year. Moved into phase 2, my early 20s. I started getting stuff in my inner groins, belt line a little bit, maybe 4 or 5 a year. Man, then as my diet and my drinking and everything got worse, I moved into stage 3, which literally, thank God I work for a family company. There were some years there where I'd have to call off work. I'd wake up, I'd have 12 cysts between under my arms, my groins, my belt line, my hairline that had come out of nowhere or inflamed. I wouldn't be able to wear pants. Like anything couldn't touch. Or I'd get one on this side of my arm and I'd get one under my arm that would touch each other. I had to get good at like Band-Aid. There was times I'd have 15 Band-Aids on just so I could get through the day. So I was going to dermatologists. I'd been on 4 rounds of Accutane throughout my life. I'd been on various antibiotics to try to combat this skin disease. And basically I got to the point where they wanted me to go on Humira. I remember the first dermatologist I went to, she's like, yeah, you have HS. This is when I'm in stage 3 and I'm struggling, man. I'm like, man, how do we get this to go away? She gave me a booklet and it was a hotline to call for support.
Wow.
And I'm like, that's it? This was my appointment?
This is what we're going to do.
And she's like, that's all I got. There's no cure for it. I go to another dermatologist. She tried to help me a ton. And I went on a 4th round of Accutane, which is a very strong drug. And then I went on antibiotics for a couple years with her. The Accutane, maybe 50% relief. The antibiotic, maybe 50%. But the minute I came off of it, full blown, probably worse, like everything would come back. Met you, had no dream that this journey would get me to this point, right, with HS. But I was really considering getting on Humira, which is it's like a rheumatoid arthritis drug.
Yeah, it's an immune modulator.
Yeah, it had been a weekly injection. That was about a month before I ran into you. I ran into you, and weight loss kind of took my mind. I wasn't planning on this helping my HS, but I was like, okay, I'm going to try to lose weight, right? And I started doing the shot, started eating differently. Then I start texting you about 2 weeks in. I'm like, dude, my skin. My skin.
You did. I remember these tests.
I'm like, dude, what? Like, this is great.
And I didn't realize how debilitating it had been for you. So I'm just like, yeah, it can help with skin a little bit. Like, cool, man.
And you were saying your diet, your diet's probably helping you. We're just talking, guessing a little bit because it is. It's an incurable disease. I sit here today. I am 99%. I could cry, man. It's 99% really cool. Better. And I would tell you I'm 100%, but I'm afraid to even say that.
Yeah.
And like I said, I don't have social media. I don't do all that. I want people with HS, and there's millions of people out there. There's a way out. There is. And if you got to email me or call me or whatever, I will give you everything I've done because I feel for these people. I still go on and read like Reddit, like what people are saying about it. And it's just sad.
Yeah.
They have no idea that there is an option there. I can't really say it's an option because I'm not medically, I'm just sharing my story, but man, these people with HS, they got to hear it.
Well, there's nothing medical that has to be said about starting with a change in your diet and lifestyle. So you don't need any credentials to recommend that to anybody. I'm still convinced to this day that's a huge portion of what helped you.
Yep.
I'm sure the GLP-1 medication helped, maybe some of the peptides, but I'm still very convinced that it's diet and lifestyle and the work you've put in. So I hope you remember that part too. I really appreciate you sharing that. Just a couple more questions I want to say, and then we're going to be done.
Yep.
Have you had any haters along the way or people saying, tell me about any of that you've experienced?
Everybody that I see, and I know a lot of people, everybody I see is amazed. And even if I don't see somebody for like 2 months, then I see them again, they're amazed. I'd say I've had 99% of the people have been positive with it. But man, I've had some people that well, what are you doing? And I've been completely honest. I tell everybody exactly what I'm doing. I don't hide anything. And I'll say I'm on tirzepatide, I'm doing this. And it's instant. They're so happy for you. You lost all this weight. And then the minute you say you're on tirzepatide or GLP-1, it's like Why would you do that? I'm like, because I was 290 pounds. I was about to have a heart attack or stroke. My blood sugar was at 107. My insulin was at 50. I was an alcoholic. I tried for 10 years on my own. Like, what do you mean? Like, where are you getting
why
at?
wouldn't I? Yeah.
And I literally get to the point where I just look at him and it's like, thanks for your opinion, but you know.
Yeah. No, I appreciate
And those same people though, I'll see in 5 years will have gained 30 pounds. And I'm not trying to be a hater.
Right.
Because I don't wish that on people.
It's a tool, right? And a tool that has worked for you and may work
Embrace
for others.
it. Yeah, be happy. And yeah, I've had to pay for it. I had $1,000 a month drinking habit.
Yeah.
I pay about $700 a month with my
whole
my
arsenal,
peptide, my proteins, everything. So I'm up $300.
Yeah, that's a great way to look at it. We talk about that too, that the amount you're going to save and when you change in going out to eat or what you were buying compared to buying whole, fresh, good foods, you're absolutely right. Our listening base and our clients, they also have some haters from time to time. And I tell people life's about doing what's right for you. And I'm glad that's worked for you.
If I could have done it naturally, I would have done it naturally. Yeah. You know what I mean? And that's
totally agree.
I just wasn't there. I think a lot of it is when your blood sugar's that high and your insulin is that high, your body's almost like combating you doing it naturally because it doesn't want good food.
That's 100% correct.
But it wants the cheeseburger from McDonald's.
That bacteria in your gut craves that glucose.
I haven't had a cheeseburger from McDonald's or any fast food restaurant in probably 9 months.
That's awesome.
And I don't even think about it.
Yeah.
And I was eating it every other day.
And just the amount of inflammatory, just glucose aside, I mean, the oils, inflammation, just everything, destroying your gut lining, your gut bacteria, insulin resistance, you name it, that contributes to it. Tell us real quick, this is my last question. If you don't mind, run through like what supplements are you on? I know you mentioned your protein. Do you do creatine? What about like vitamin D? Just give us your quick. And again, you were completely unmedical. This is all stuff I've either recommended, you found on your own. But
I take a multivitamin that you recommended. Still do that today. I take 4 of those a day. I take a vitamin D supplement that I get from you or Mia. I take an amino acid pill every day. I do all that in the morning. So basically my routine is I wake up, I start with my workout. I do a pre-workout drink from Transparent Labs called Bulk. I lift on an empty stomach. So I do my pre-workout with a BCAA, is it like glutamine?
Sure, your different branch chain amino acids.
Yeah,
right?
It's like a BCAA glutamine. So I mix that with my pre-workout, both from Transparent Labs. I started doing the BCAAs maybe 2 months ago. I was getting up, I'm lifting on an empty stomach, and I was running out of gas, right? So I incorporated the BCAAs with my pre-workout. That's taken all that away. I can lift for 2 hours without eating now. So I get done with my workout, come upstairs. I have a Transparent Labs protein shake, which their oatmeal chocolate chip tastes just like French Toast Crunch cereal. It's identical. Is
it a powder or
it's
a premix?
Okay. It's a powder, yep. So I drink that with creatine from Transparent Labs as well.
Transparent Labs is a good, clean brand.
It is. And you pay for it. It's definitely a little bit more expensive, but to me, it seems clean. Then I do a protein shake at night at 8 o'clock. That's like my night kind of snack. Okay. I try to eat a little earlier. My dinner, I'm trying to eat maybe 5:30, 6 o'clock, just to get that whole food kind of in me before I'm going to bed. And then at 8 o'clock, I'll have another protein shake. And really, I do it for the 30 grams of protein.
Yeah.
It's trying to just get an additional 30 in me.
Yeah.
Then I also drink their Transparent Labs. I drink their Hydrate while I'm working out. I mix it with water. And
probably some electrolytes.
It's
I haven't looked at that particular one.
But I'll tell you what, that Transparent Lab stuff, man, they got something for everything. I've been happy with it. I've been buying their protein bars. I actually brought one for you. I wanted you to look at it.
I'll take a look. They're not a show sponsor, but if anyone from Transparent Labs is listening, please feel free.
I love them, man. They sent me a bag. I ordered a couple $100 worth of stuff, and they sent me one of their bags. I take it to the gym. I'm so proud of that little bag. It's got to be like a $10 little gym bag, dude. I'm so proud of that bag.
So my point was, and because I kind of knew what you were on, and I just wanted people to understand, you don't have to spend thousands of dollars on supplements and stuff. Like, yes, you're getting a high quality protein. You like a few different things with it, but you're really on just a couple vitamins that are really important daily, some protein and amino acid supplements. You do your GLP-1 and you've cycled a couple peptides.
Yep.
So it's very doable.
And honestly, out of all that, I really like the protein and the creatine. The creatine, I think, got a lot of benefits, even outside of weightlifting.
Absolutely. It's almost like we paid this guy to be here. He says all the things we're saying.
It's because I take exactly what you tell me and I do it. I've learned from the best.
Well, Tony, listen, I really appreciate, we try to keep these short for our listening audience, and we're just about out of time. So I appreciate you taking the time to come here. Again, over 115 pounds weight loss, 40% body fat. I'm sorry, Yes, 40% body fat down to 17% body fat. Really just amazing results. Feels great. Skin improved. It's been awesome. I appreciate you sharing your story.
Can I have one more thing to say?
Absolutely.
Again, anybody with HS, please, please, please listen to this. Get a hold of Tim or
Yes.
get a hold of me. If you need somebody to talk to, I will tell you exactly. I'll tell you 100 times exactly what I've done.
Feel free to reach out to the show. And like Tony mentioned, if you know anybody for any reason who could benefit from this content, please feel free to share it with them. Like and follow. And give me 1 second here. I have to do our legal mumbo jumbo. Normally Mia does that, so I wasn't ready. Just a reminder, this podcast is for informational purposes only and is not medical advice. It's not a substitute for professional care, diagnosis, or treatment. Always consult with your healthcare provider before making any changes to your health routine. And remember that you have the power. Join in next week to get more knowledge. Tony has shared a ton of his knowledge. Thank you so much for being here, Tony.
Yep. Thanks, Tim.